Welcome to Citizens View. I'm Charles Dahman, a political observer and author of the book America Rising, found on Amazon.com. In today's podcast, we will address cancel culture and take a look at the intended goal of those who impose it on America. Cancel culture is the elimination of America's heritage. The most recent examples are Bill de Blasio driving another nail into the coffin of New York City by canceling the 9/11 light tribute. Another recent episode involved rioters tearing down a statue of George Washington in front of LA City Hall. If you all remember, early on, people said, nobody's going to tear down the statues of George Washington. Well, here we are. A focus of cancel culture is the 1619 Project, which would have had the beginnings of our country established in 1619 rather than 1776. This would enable cancel culturalists to wrap all of America up in a stigma of slavery. A foundational principle of the cancel culturalists is that America owes its greatness to slavery. That is a convenient inaccuracy. The fact is that at the time of slavery, 15 of the existing states were slave states, 14% of the existing states were free states. The slave states were located in the south and the southeast portion of the United States. The free states were located in the northeast portion of the United States. The rest of the country, that was about a third of the country. The rest of the country, 2/3, was comprised of the Midwest and the Western territories, which had no slavery or no slavery to speak of, which basically contributed at all to the economy of the nation, which the cancel culturists like to dwell on. Slavery did not make America rich by a fellow called Corey Lacono. His assertion was that slavery was neither crucial nor necessary for the Industrial Revolution. Cotton exports didn't make the United States an economic superpower. The slaves were brought in economically, mostly to pick and process cotton. Once Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin, slaves really weren't necessary anymore for the purpose of the cotton production or the cotton industry. So the economic necessity for slaves was mostly done away with. When you have a large number of unskilled people that you depend upon, you basically hamper your industrialization. If you get a lot of people to do things, you don't need robotization. If you don't have a lot of people to do things, you need robotization, which means that you enhance your industrial output through a lack of large masses of unskilled labor. So slavery delayed Southern industrialization. And one more point he makes, once again, which you can go to for more detail in the article, which I basically indicated, is that more slavery means less prosperity even 100 years later. Cancel culture goes far and wide. One of the most popular examples of cancel culture was the taking of the black woman from the box of the Aunt Jemima pancake mix. That woman was originally Nancy Green, who was a freed slave and a trailblazing corporate model, and showed the progress of blacks of her time. In fact, her family objected to the Aunt Jemima symbol being changed. They thought it was a derogation of their late aunt, I think it was a great aunt, Nancy Green. You have a cathedral removing a statue of the first Christian Roman emperor because he had slaves. Well, back in those days, everybody had slaves, and they weren't necessarily black slaves. They were slaves that were taken from regions that the Romans conquered. So they could be white. Wherever the Romans went, they took slaves. Italy, wherever. So they weren't black slaves. And that's another thing. Everybody assumes that slaves were all black. They weren't. Originally, a lot of them were white. They were non-black, and that goes back to thousands of years. What will happen is that when we find that 60 to 50 years, or 50 to 60 years, we've been teaching young people to hate America, we're going to spend the next 50 to 60 years teaching young people to forget America. And then where will all of us be? We'll be nowhere, and America will be gone. Thank you. Thanks for watching. The next podcast is going to be on BLM, where they are and where they're going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell for updates.